and see. Everybody is ain't a place to be. Y'all can relate to me. And come on and put your hands up. You poor or rich, don't mean this. Put your hands up. Jews, Catholics, Muslims, rock. Put your hands up. Get made off because lyrics are not enough. Beats ain't at the scruff. Twirling the ace is made up. Also tough to reach. Messed up, your grade and curve. You still push it out, but that shows a lot of nerve. That's in the A. That sounds so sweet. And the rap classes play translate to heat. Don't sleep.
What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of What Words Are Worth. And today I got another phenomenal guest that you know about, that you've heard, that you've been following, Cesar Comanche. He's one of the people that were one of the founding fathers of the Justus League in North Carolina. Cesar Comanche provides that music that you want to hear when you're kind of like in between of like, where do I go from here? So he's able to provide a musical landscape that guides you and just gives you that sense of hope. So today we get to talk to Cesar and figure out, how does he come up with these ideas? What's his techniques? How, what's the way that he likes to write? Different things like that. Get the tips from the best. That's what we do here. Welcome to the stage, Cesar Comanche.
Oh man, words, man. Seen you in a long time, brother. How you doing?
Yo, man. I appreciate you being on here, man. This episode and this podcast in general is just about songwriters and people that write dope lyrics. And you've been able to stand the test of time and maintain a sense of consistency. We're putting out great music, great lyrics, dope shows. So your consistency is of a high level. So it's only right to have you on here,
Word, man. That means a lot coming from you, man. Like, yeah, I appreciate that. No, it's great to be here. It's real cool.
Yeah, so what I want to say is I try to start off, not even try, just start off with letting everybody kind of know my observation of them. Okay. So for me, you're optimistic from frustration. Even with frustrated with what's going on, your song still is like hopeful. Like if somebody's trying to figure it out, they can go, let me go listen to Cesar so I can get through this hump. You know what I'm saying? Let me go turn this on because I feel how he feels, but it's always a good lining at the, it's something good at the end of it, no matter what it is. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I get. I wrote down, like, you give like cautionary tales, and it's like a positive, it's good versus evil in there, but it's just a good affirmation of don't let nothing stop you, man. And I think people can appreciate that. So anybody that hasn't heard Cesar before and you're in a mood and you're not sure, listen to Cesar and you'll find the answer. So that's my vibe of hearing you. So listen,
that's wild to hear from. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I can see that because it's like you might not of yourself actually step back and think and know and can put your mind into somebody else's, like how they perceive your music and your craft. Wow, that's cool to hear, man. Yeah, dope.
I try to make sure, like when I listen, I'm listening for everybody's gifts. So those are the gifts I got from you. But let's get into it, man. So what's the origin of your name? Because some people I don't think know that. I don't think I knew it until we actually kind of met up, and then I asked you, I think, in person.
Yeah. So Cesar, like, I first heard that name back in like '93, and I was in Spanish 2 class, and that was like, you got to get immersed in the language. It was in high school, right? So Cesar was a name given to me because my government name is Christopher, right? So I just kept hearing the name, of course, throughout the year. And because of the consonant sounds and the Cesar kept making me think of scissors. It's like Cesar, scissors. So a few years later, like still in the 90s, around 95, 96, I was thinking about life. And I was thinking about how can I simplify going through life? And what I came up with was that you get you come to a crossroads, and one path being what you need to do and one path being what you want to do. And a lot of times those crossroads, those paths are not the same thing, right? So
Yeah.
then I was thinking about like, well, how do we make that work? How do we choose the right path or make the right decisions? And then it was a time where I was, talking to somebody, and they was telling me about Eastern philosophies and things like that. And they were talking about power and peace being like chi. And then, so that word stuck with me. And then I was like, oh, like, so I can find like a common power or peace to make that crossroads situation work. So I was like, I'm pretty much half Native American. So I was thinking about different tribes, and then Comanche came, and it's just a play on words. So it's really Comanche that I changed to Comanche. And then so Cesar is being cut at the crossroads on the path, and Comanche finding the Comanche to make the right choice to move forward. So that's pretty much my name is the play on words. Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Before knowing you and getting to know you, and then maybe hearing your name on records, I always would probably think it was like Cesar. I know you probably, you know what I'm saying?
It's a common mistake. Yeah.
That's what, until like hearing it announced and pronounced, then I was like, okay. And that to me is what also made me curious, finding out the definition of what it was and why, so the Cesar, the original, like where you got it from, is it pronounced that way other than Caesar for a reason? Do you know any?
Well, because I know Caesar, every time I've seen Caesar, it was like CAE S, ER. And then, Cesar pretty much was CESAR. I don't think I've seen it or heard it pronounced the other way. I can't think of any examples where I can think of where CESAR is pronounced Caesar. But trust me, brother, you're not alone. Like a lot of cats, when they first meet me, or they always call me it used to be really bad at first, you know what I'm saying? But every now and then, still somebody will like be like, yo, Caesar, whatever. And I'll be like, I just correct them. Like, oh, my bad. Like, yeah. But yeah, man, it's cool. I mean, I'm just glad that it's a name that the whole name, together is not something that like you can really find places. I'm like, luckily I looked out and got something very unique,
Yeah, I think it's dope. I also think it's dope that you're having people, think about the pronunciation of it, also delving deeper into the last part of the name and how it actually has a meaning within itself. So I think symbolically and just overall, I always love hearing where people get their names from, because not everybody gets their name from the typical way that they may perceive it. My name is from a cartoon from Heathcliff.
Word. Yep. Yeah, I used to watch that. That was one of my joints back in the day.
And then we got artists nowadays that just go with their real name. I love hearing like regular people just rock with their real name now a lot of times too. So I think the origin of names are dope because there's somebody out there trying to figure out what to name themselves. So now they heard you, they heard how you pieced that together, and they're like, oh, okay, let me think about what I'm used to. Let me think about this. So that's why I love delving into the origins of names, just trying to get an understanding how people put things together. And speaking of putting things together, how do you put these rhymes together? Are you writing them on paper, pen, computer? Where we at with this, man? Play, in your head. How do you write rhymes, man?
At the very beginning, I was just writing rhymes, like to whatever. I'm sure you've done it too back in the day where, you're just songs that you like, you're just trying to like write your own verses to them and stuff like that. And then once, you start getting production and things like that, So I had just like mad rhymes just banked up and we were matching them. That was like my first album, Wood Nickels, that came out in 2000. That was like, I would say 70% of that album, those rhymes are already written.
Okay,
And
that's
then,
interesting.
yeah, like, and then like a few of the joints, I was like thinking about the beat and see what I learned that trade and that method from two cats in my crew, Ninth Wonder and Yarel. They was talking to me and they were like, yeah, man, like you got great ideas and things like that. But they were like telling me, you know, if you tailor your rhymes specifically to a beat, you'll see like your song will actually come together way better. And they were like my first, I mean, I didn't know that was really producing at the time, but they were my first actual producers saying like, yo, why don't you think about, you know, this, that, and the third. And so then on my second album, Paper Gods, that came out in 2002, that's when it was strictly 2002 till now is beat first. And then the beat tells me exactly what to say by like the vibe of it, what the subject matter is, you know, the mathematical movement and everything, how your cadence should be, everything. And then like, you know, also what I'll do is when I'm listening to the beat, like I'm very like, when it comes to creating nature, like the environment, that is what my inspiration comes to as far as vibe, right? So, you know, I'm sure people do it the same exact thing, but maybe not with these words. Like I'm always thinking like spring, summer, autumn, winter. That's what I'm always thinking. I'm like, okay, is this beat make me feel like spring, summer, autumn, or winter? And then, and what I'm saying is, I know you as a writer, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna delve more into that more so. But are you writing on a paper or you type in your computer, your phone?
Pen to paper. Like I don't know, I like that analog, that actual real world feel of just the process of like your hand doing this and it going, or the friction of the paper. Like I still do that. I don't know. Like
have you ever done computer or phone?
Huh?
Have you ever done computer or phone?
I don't think I have. Honestly, I was trying to remember if I have, and I don't think I have. And one day, you know what? I need to just try it just for the heck of it, just to see how it feels. But yeah, I've only ever written on paper.
Yeah, I mean, I made that transition just because it just started being, the phone became that thing always with me, and the laptop, you know how that is. We start carrying these devices. So then we're on the road on tour, and you know, being in the vans and so on and so forth, it just became that thing. I think the first time I ever read a rhyme on my phone was in London. And recording something. I remember holding my phone up, reading it. And then that was also the same day I probably had tried like, let me do another half of this verse in my mind. And I was like, that was taking too long trying to do it in my mind. Like, you know, because you got to repeat.
Exactly. Yeah.
You got to repeat. So I never really gravitated towards writing in my mind situation, even though some of my favorites do it. One of the A Butter from Natural Elements. If anybody, I've seen, he's probably the first person I've seen do it in front of me. Like, oh snap, you know what I'm saying? But but I've heard from several people on here, they still go pen to paper. So yeah, I think I'll do it. Like right here, I got pen to paper. I got a whole bunch of notes though that I'm writing doing these shows. But yeah, I'm typically on the computer though. So yeah, it's good to hear that people saying there's a connection when they write. I've also heard this, depending on your mood, the pressure that you're using to write changes.
I never thought about that, but there's got to be something to that.
So
there's got to be something to it.
Yeah, so that's what I'm kind of asking. You probably never, I don't know if you thought about it, but I was talking to somebody and they were like, yo, when I'm upset, I'm writing harder. So the verse
Yeah.
and in some shape, form, or fashion, I feel that becomes art in itself.
Right. Huh.
So yeah, that was interesting when I heard them say that. Like, you know, if you're chilling in a good mood, you just kind of you upset. So
Right. Like you really digging in, like
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. How about on the paper? What does it look like? I've seen I've had Superstition tell me he'll put like a symbol of telling him where this verse starts at, because
Right.
you know, sometimes we'll get a beat and we'll write to it and then come back to it and forgot how we started the rhyme. So he'll like write on it like snare, so he knows to drop in there.
Oh, okay.
Then I spoke to a fellow friend of us, Eternia.
Word.
She has her papers and she got notes. You know, like everybody has notes. How does your paper look?
My paper pretty much looks like those things that you're talking about. I do the same things, take notes, but that part I do in my head. It's like from repetition of like writing and reading, and you know what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
so what I do is, you know, when you're doing a line, once I started doing shows, I started writing different. Okay, before I was doing shows and I was writing, I wasn't thinking about performing this, right? So I used to just go and go and go and go and think like, yo, like, and also this was before, when I first started writing, I didn't know anything about recording in a studio or whatnot. I thought that whatever you heard on the record was exactly what they did. Like there was no editing, no like takes, no nothing. I thought they just did the whole song at one time. So I'm writing, not taking into account I still gotta breathe, right? So
that's dope. Yeah, I'm glad this dope. Go ahead, keep going, elaborate
okay.
more.
So then first I was, you know, when I first started recording, that's when I was learning that whole thing. Like, yo, like I actually gotta breathe. I can't just say all this, right? And then I got that down. Then when I started doing shows more and more and more and more, I was like, oh man, like then I started writing, understanding that I need to do this on stage. And now you as a performer, you know, like what the studio and the stage is two different animals. Like you can be way more liberal on the stage with your delivery and all that type of stuff. So, but still, you still gotta, you know, sound good. So then I'm always writing with the thought of thinking like I have to perform this. So now with that said, my paper looks like every time I have to take a breath, that's where the next line starts. That's how it is. So like some things might be just two words, something you may be a whole like full sentence, something might be one word. It's just wherever I take a breath. So that's where, so when I'm going through it, I remember exactly where the next joint like starts and the next feel, you know, the beginning of that thought. Yeah.
Yo, this is so dope because these are the secrets that I'm listening, but
Oh,
now I know the intention behind listening to your flow.
word.
Because I'm listening to your flow, and then there's sometimes these like pauses, and that pause also sometimes allows a beat drop to change or something.
Right, I do that. Like I'm thinking, because when I write, I don't listen to the beat out loud. What I do is I listen to the beat over and over again out loud till like I memorize every little small detail of the beat. And then now when I'm writing to just compliment the beat, it's like, oh, like there's this producer did a funny thing right here. I need to make that part of my verse or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I'll, like you said, like I don't care. I'll stop and just let that do its thing, and then I'll start again. You know, because it's like, you know, just get you into the groove. You know.
Oh, it's dope because when I'm listening to you, I hear the stops, and I hear you let the beat live. and then you come back in. Also, the way you come back in is dope because the personality you use to come back in. So that's the other thing I love listening to artists for is, man, I'm listening for everything. The personality coming back in from the line. So it might be like, you might stop and be like, won't stop and things in the air like boom, 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 boom. Why did you make him like? And then you come back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
You come back with the personality of a conversation.
Yeah.
So is that like, how did you develop maybe your own style of like, yo, I'm gonna come with like a conversational kind of vibe with it? You know what I'm saying? Like you came with your own writing style. So how did you come up with this style of like, yo, I don't want to be like loud. I got to figure out my voice. How did you find it?
It took me a while, I think, because for me, I don't know how it is for everybody, but I think it's similar for other people. Like when you first hear your own voice, I guess some people think they sound cool, but I thought like I sound extremely like not cool when I was rapping. Like when I first was hearing myself, I was like, I don't know how people are gonna listen to me. Like, I don't know, because everybody else's voice to me sounded cool as hell.
Right.
And then my voice just was like I don't know. So what I had to start learning how to do was, one, lean in and accept my voice and stop hiding from it. And then just like in a conversation, you know, I guess I feel like I was kind of one tone in the early days. Like it was kind of I was in this register and just staying there, you know, thinking that like, oh, I sound passionate because my voice sounds like this. Right. It's a high, you know, on the higher end of male, whatever voice. And so I was like, I need to lean into that. But I stayed there. But then I started learning that, oh, just like in a conversation, how you have different things, it's like I need to like make it more dynamic in that way, especially as, you know, solo MCs. And then, you know, we do features, stuff like that. You don't get to just be like one verse on the song and then somebody else, y'all, both of y'all or all three of y'all or whatever, differences are giving the song dynamics. Like you got to give the dynamics of the whole thing yourself. So I had to learn that, and I had to learn to, you know, dig deep in the diaphragm sometimes, go there, and then like really imagine that, okay, when I wrote this song, I might have felt a certain way then when I wrote it. But when I'm laying it down, now I had to learn to put myself back in that moment and actually feel that way, what I'm talking about, like it's happening right now, whatever the subject matter is, so that it took me to start get emotion and things like that. Like, I don't necessarily love or hate my voice now. I'm just used to it now. And I learned that like, yo, just use different things like that. And then it actually even took me a long time to like, you know, I don't feel my voice is, I can't get paid being a singer, but I can carry a tune, you know what I'm saying, when the time needs. And I was like, you know, since you can do that, use that sometimes when it's called for. So I started doing that in songs. It took me, I want to say 2 or 3 albums before I ever did that for the first time, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, you know, understanding that what my voice sounds like to me is not how other people hear me. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
And then, so if people are listening to me, then I guess they either like my voice or they can endure it or whatever. So it's like, just, you know, do you? And then I had to also appreciate that I feel like if you know me and know my voice, if you hear me on something without even knowing I'm on it, and when I start, you know, rapping or whatever, you know it's me. I feel like I have a unique voice.
Yeah, I think that's a fact, and I think that's the thing people have to take away from these conversations is just your voice is your voice, and
Yeah.
look, you gotta to be an artist in general, a creative, or whatever it is. You could just be an entrepreneur. You gotta be comfortable with somebody not liking what you do. You
Right.
can make a shirt, and
Mm-hmm.
somebody's not gonna buy that shirt. You can make a hat. So it's always gonna. It could be food. You can make a plate of food. 10 people like it. The 11th person doesn't love it. So with your voice, you just got to deal with what it is, and you're not gonna make everybody happy with your voice.
Right.
And I think as long as you're putting the intention behind the art and what you're saying, people in general will they'll like what you're doing and feel what you like. So yeah, your voice is your voice, and who you are is who you are.
Right.
Writing in the studio. Do you prefer to write in the studio, like outside? So like if you got to go to somebody's studio, or you write this rhyme at home and then bring it in?
I've done both. I feel like I prefer writing when you can like silence your mind and silence everything, and just because like I said, like some people write with the beat playing, I mean, you've been there where you've heard people playing the beat just on a complete long loop and they're writing the whole time. Like I can't do that because for me, I'm either listening to the beat or I'm writing. Because of the way I developed my pen, I was writing in places where I couldn't listen to the beat. Like back when I would, have 9 to 5, whatnot, I would every time I would get a break or, nobody's coming or whatever, like any downtime, I'm writing. So that's how I developed that style. And I started doing it and it just stayed with me. So, I need to be somewhere I can do both, but I guess, home studio for me is the best because I know I can just focus on that. And then like time kind of disappears. It's like, it'll be hours later. You won't even realize it, and you would just come up. And I feel like that's where I come up with my best stuff too, because it's like a thing, and you probably do it too, where when you're writing something and you ever be shocked when you listen to your own verse and you remember writing it, but you feel like you didn't write it. Have you ever done that?
I would say like I haven't done that.
Right.
But like if I lay a verse down and writing something, I'm always more excited or shocked that it actually sounds as good as I thought it would on paper.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because you can write something on paper and it don't translate to the mic.
Very true. Very
You
true.
know what I'm saying? It sounds fire as you writing it, you get in there, and then you play it back and you be like, nah, I'm gonna do that over. I'm gonna rewrite that. So I had moments of that for sure, like writing something and then kind of like going like, okay, yo, this
right.
when people hear it and stuff like that. So what about like going to the studio and people are there already? Do you write right there, or do you say, yo, I'm gonna leave, give me the beat, I'll go do it home and come back? It's
all situational. Like I've had to do both because sometimes you'll be on the road and then somebody will be like, yo, sometimes you're at a show on the road and somebody comes up to you and is like, yo, I'll pay you X, Y, and Z, come over to the studio and we gonna work. And like you gotta feel it out. Sometimes even though like they're about to, pay you or whatnot, you just be like, the vibration wasn't right. Yeah. It's like, I don't know if I need to be somewhere with this random cat. You know what I'm saying? Like, who knows what it is? But, sometimes, it'll be somebody who's actually Pete Boys or whatever with the promoter. Or
Usually that's how it is.
That's how it is. Right. And then they already hit you up and like, yo, you're going to be in blah, 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 come, and then so you do it. So that's cool too. It's like both ways is cool. Like I prefer to write where like you could just chill and vibe out to it. But like those where where you have time constraints, I've done that too. Like, so my preference would be when you have no time constraints, as far when you're on your own clock.
Yeah.
But it doesn't bother me to write in situations like that where I got to get it done in XYZ amount of time.
So then, when you're writing, what's the atmosphere? Are you daytime, nighttime, quiet, noise? What's the atmosphere you prefer?
Yeah, it changes. Sometimes I'm, in the crib, like in the studio room, or sometimes I'll just sit like if it's a nice day where the right breeze and it's not hot or cold, I'll just sit in the car with all the windows down. Like I won't be like listening to the beat because I already got it here, but just letting the breeze blow and listening to the trees, the leaves in the trees, and just cars, and glancing at people walking by here and there, and like just casually writing, just enjoying it. So it could be all kind of different, situations.
Because you mentioned the car. Do you drive around and kind of like take in the city, or where, like other places? Is that like, because I know there's people that do that too. They'll take a drive. Yeah. I may take a drive.
Right. I've done that. Like, maybe you're listening to a beat and you're just driving, you just, being quiet and just driving. And then, you're letting the song come to you. That's all these different things you're talking about, as when you get to let the song come to you, is definitely my favorite way to make songs and albums and things like that. Yeah, man, it's all cool stuff. It's interesting. What we're talking about right now, I've never talked about this stuff in depth like this. So it's real cool. Yeah.
So like that's why I love doing this with y'all, because people get to get your secrets, your vibe. They get to relate with what you do. They get to go, oh, I do that. Oh, snap, he does that. I should try that. So now, how about morning time? You wake up. Are you thinking about writing bars, or are you kind of wait to nighttime? And you're saying like, okay, I just came from a show, studio, locked in till morning, sleep during day. Like, what's that schedule like for your atmosphere? Night,
Yeah. It shifted. So when I was younger, I used to be more of a nighttime person. I would say in the last maybe 5+ years, I've shifted, and I feel way more productive in the morning. And that way, and it's like I said, for me, we got all types of ways now. We got, Bluetooth headphones. We got all kind of stuff where we can listen to stuff and like not even bother nobody, because like sometimes I could be up at 5 a.m. and like I get my workout done and all that type of stuff, and just go into being creative in some form or fashion. Yeah, and it's like I feel like you just get in.
Pardon me, Cesar, for 1 second. So I got a question about that. So is the routine, because I've spoken to people and I get asked, how are you able to do this and this and that, so many things? And to me, it sounds like first thing you said, you kind of have a routine. So what's your routine leading into the writing aspect?
Okay.
And does that routine help?
Yeah, it does. I feel like because you get the endorphins and the everything, like when you like work out or whatever. Because sometimes my wife and I will like walk like 6 miles, and we'll like do an aggressive power walk. But we get out there like I said 5 a.m. She does it almost anytime she gets a chance, but I do it every other day. But every day I'll still do, your indoor prison workout or whatever. Yeah. I'll do that. And then but yeah, you get your endorphins going, and then it's like you got the whole day, and and it's still morning. You just realize, yo, like I'm already into A, B, C, and D, doing this, that, and the third, and I'm like, yo, it's just 8:20 in the morning, and I've done all these things, and it's like so much time in this day still left. I just feel like, yeah, I feel more productive when I do that, and then like work on being creative, being designing something visual, because I started visually designing things again, because that's something I used to do before the music took over.
Okay, elaborate on that. What are those things you said design?
Oh yeah, well, for example, like I'm now my latest venture, I'm co-owner of like an apparel company called Terezi.
Oh,
and
dope.
yeah, so this hat is one of my designs.
Right.
So it's a Justus League 25 series, and like Terezi, this is the logo right here. Yeah, and like, yeah, so like this is all just drawn from scratch. I designed hats for different cats in my crew. And like this is my JL25 joint, and like, yeah, so it's about, we're about to roll that out. And so I'm a visual designer too, and like, yeah, man, and like getting the whole machine and the equipment to follow. Designing this is one thing, but then now making it to where the machinery understands to make this, that's a whole nother process that I had to learn. But yeah, it's like, so this is something definitely I do. So I try to make a design a day. If I'm writing, do something musically creative. And sometimes I don't create a song in my head per se, like how you were saying earlier, but you'll be thinking of ideas. Like, let's just say somebody hits you with a beat and it fits you, and you're like, huh. And then you're thinking of ideas of like, so sometimes you do little, like, I guess you're doodling in your mind music. So yeah, and then I eat around like 2:00.
How long does it take for you to write once you start doodling, coming up with some ideas? Is it like, how long does it take to write a verse versus a song?
Right. It just, yeah, it's interesting. It just depends. Like sometimes I can write a verse, like, let's just say, I'm just trying to give a round number. Sometimes I can do it in an hour. Sometimes it might take me 4 hours. It just all depends on how it's flowing out of me. Like sometimes, you just like, dang, like sometimes it's like I'm just following the pen, like go across the paper,
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll craft something, like I might take my time on a song, and like I've done it before to where I'll like take a week on a song, just because I'm like in a situation where, like, it's my studio and I'm setting my own schedule and doing my own things, and like I'm trying to be super intricate with something, with this theme and this emotion I'm trying to portray. Yeah, it just varies, man. Like for me.
Yeah, I think a lot of us, it varies. For me, and just kind of maybe me and you, I would say, because we came up in a certain time of just like writing these rhymes and having a certain, I would say, even a respect for the writing of the rhyme. A lot of times now, I started seeing, throughout our years, as hip hop become, has exploded and rap has become kind of just anybody picking up to do it. I don't think a lot of people have. There's a lot of people that respect the process, I would say.
Right.
They're kind of just like me and you, we're taking hours, days, weeks, minutes. I'll speak to some kids and they'll be like, I just go in the booth and just, go off the top of the dome. And then you hear it back and you be like, oh, I understand. You're not saying nothing.
You just rhyming, right?
You cat in the hat with it. You get what I'm saying? They're kind of cat in the hat with it. So hearing you discuss a time frame for it, it's good to hear because a lot of people that I see, especially like I said, it's so accessible. You could rhyme right now, upload it, and then it might be a big record, but like when people listening to it, they ain't really have that content in there. So what's your revision process like when you're writing these songs? How long do you take on fixing things?
I like to, for me, like in general, I like to have stuff perfectly imperfect, if you dig. Like, so I will listen to something like, let's just say I listen into it, you know, of course in the studio, then I listen to it like in some other kind of headphones, then I listen to it in a car, then I listen to somebody else's car. So if I can play it in all these different types of things, you know what I'm saying? A little small little CD player, whatnot, you know, burn it, do whatever, and it still sounds the way it should sound on that. I think then like the mix is good. But I just know I try to listen to it on different things because I know how it sounds to me in one place, but then somewhere else I don't want it to be like, oh snap, like, you know, cats will just be like, yo, he just don't know how to mix a song, or yeah, he don't have the quality, nothing. Like, I don't want it to be lost. And then I make sure that, you know, I just mix. And I've seen a lot of people mixing like headphones that have an EQ in it, like the bass boost and stuff like that. And it's like, nah, I'm like, don't do that. Like, make sure it's a good flat, whatever you're doing in your machine as far as mixing, you want to hear the true mix, you know, of it and stuff. Nothing enhanced, nothing, just the true raw mix. But yeah, it's like just making sure that it's perfectly imperfect. Making sure, like, as far as an album, when I'm sequencing them, you know, that it makes sense for this song to be before this song, for it to be before that song, but it has to make sense vibration wise, sound wise, whatever. And, you know, and of course, and I mean, a lot of people don't realize, like, at least I learned classically where skits should go. And it wasn't something we were verbally told. It was something we had to figure out listening to records. And I realized that the skits or interludes or whatever is, you know, those are coffee grounds, because sometimes you run into situations where these two songs have to be beside each other, but they just don't feel right touching one another. Yeah. So it's like you put that interlude or that skit in there to get the taste out of people's mouths of this song that just went off. So then now it makes sense. It feels good when this next song comes on. Like, I don't just use skits just for the sake of using skits. They're all purposeful, you know?
Yeah.
Or interludes, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's like when I'm listening to it, and then of course it's like, if I feel like I take myself out of the equation as far as like this song or this album, I didn't do it. I have to do my best to listen to it like I'm just somebody listening to some cat making a song. And like, when I feel like I believe that person and they're giving enough dynamics and whatever, all the things you check off when you're listening to something, if I feel like I've accomplished that, then I feel like then I've made something of quality, you know.
What about with the bars, right? So do you have, like, on your paper, do you have some lines that you cross out and then you rewrite it, or do you just keep everything you're writing? How does that revision process go? Or do you revise? Because sometimes you might say something and then, like we said, it doesn't sound good right then and there.
Right.
Do you fix it in the booth, like live on things? So what's that like when you're revising that rhyme? How do you decide what line?
Yes, sometimes I do that. It's not super often. It's like you said, something sounded great in your head, And then when you hear it out loud, you're like that doesn't. And then a lot of times I have to think about like all of our different dialects and accents and things like that. Because sometimes when I'm thinking of something and I'll say something, it's hard to think of an example, but I'll say something and it's clear the meaning of what I'm saying because I know I wrote it, right? But when I'm listening to it, I'm like, yo, I can see how because of my dialect, it sounds like I'm saying something else right here. And maybe I need to now change that word to another obvious word to where it can't be misconstrued. Like different little things like that. Like I've done stuff like that, you know.
That's a big point you made there, Cesar, because check it out. I think a lot of us sometimes, because we're writing it, sometimes you could be writing for yourself.
Right.
And you have to remove the fact that you're writing for yourself in a way, maybe kind of 50-50 with the audience and stuff like that in some regard. But sometimes you'll write something and you have to listen back and say, I understand it because I wrote it.
Right.
Will everybody else understand? Because I've been there too. I've write something, I'll be like, yo, this sounds ill. And then I'm like, it sounds ill, but can the average person get it immediately sometimes?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So do you have that battle, that internal battle of being intricate and then versus dumbing it down?
I don't know. I don't ever really think about it because for me, the music, the beat itself dictates how intricate or how simple of a vocal delivery, you know, words I give you. Because for me, the beat, like, you know, I'm an MC, but I'm not one of the MCs that feel like I gotta outshine the beat. Like for me, I want me and the beat to be a team. That's just my style. I'm not down in anybody's whatever, but I'm saying that's just how I get down. Like I want to be a team with the beat to where it's got that groove, you know, to where when you know watching somebody dance, like my cadence and whatnot, wordplay is dancing with the beat like perfectly, and you know, and then also, you know, just like you and myself, like we've toured extensively in different countries, so everybody that are fans of yourself and are fans of my music don't even speak English. So our vocal tone and the vibe is all they got. And I know, you know, you and me too have hardcore fans that don't speak English. And the reason they don't necessarily know what we're talking about, but it's the vibe we give them. They were like, like it feels good, you know?
Yeah. So, when you're picking your beats, how do you find them? Are you going with a stable of people? I mean, coming from the Justus League, of course, is a stable of just creatives, but are you on Instagram nowadays searching and finding people, or are you running into people at shows? How are you getting these beats and deciding, oh, this is it? I know Pomac, shout out to Pomac, you know, and stuff like that, but how are you deciding?
The way I decide is like, first, it's like, because I've been working with them for so long, Crisis and Ninth are kind of the backbone of my sound. And then it'll be like, I'll tell them like because I always come up with concepts of albums before I work on the album. I have the concept and I'll tell them the concept. And then they'll play me most times stuff that they feel fits that type of vibration, you know, of the concept. And then I'll choose from that stuff. And then, okay, I'll be like this, that, and the third. And I try to choose like very few of their beats. I've never been a type of person where it's like I try to like get mad beats and just hold them. Like I try to be super efficient. So if I got like 5 beats from you, then I'm using 5 beats. That's because what's what I need, you know. Then different people, you know, like it'll be different things. Like, you know, sometimes a producer that you know will just be playing something on Instagram or something. and they'll just be doing whatever. Scratch that. I'm adding Flash, DJ Flash also. Ninth Crisis DJ Flash. So sometimes, you know, a different producer will be playing something, and I'll be like, oh snap. And it's like somebody I know, I'll hit them up and just be like, hey, like, are you using that for anything? And if they're not, and if it's cool, it's open, they'll be like, yeah, you know, and then we figured it out and we make it work. But it's all stuff, you know, to complement each other. I'm pretty picky with beats because, like, you know, at this point in your career what you have business making songs to. Like, it could be, like, oh, this beat is dope, but it doesn't even matter how dope you are. It's like, I don't sound right over that particular beat, even though I love that beat, but that's a different type of MC that'll shine on that beat, you know. So like, it's gotta have that it's gotta have the vibration that goes along with the story, that fits the concept of whatever that we're trying to the album we're making. And then for me, like, well, if it comes to like a Cesar Comanche album, it's pretty much 99.999% gonna be boom bap, you know, soulful boom bap, just because that's what I dig, you know.
Right.
But it's like, you know, I have my go-to guys, and then, you know, you never know, and then sometimes people just hit you up that maybe you never met before, because it happens all the time. Like, I say 7 times or 6 times out of 10, it might be somebody hit you up and they'll like send you beats or whatnot, and you can tell this person has never listened to your music before in their life, because they're like, yo, you would sound perfect over this, and you listen to the beats and you like, what, like, what have you ever heard me on that even remotely gives you that idea?
I wonder when I get stuff like that, sometimes I'll be like, how did they even find me if they don't even kind of know what we got? You know what I'm saying? So how did they find me? Did they come across like, did I do a freestyle and it popped up and they just like, oh, this guy got a cool freestyle, let me send him some beats.
Right.
So that happens sometimes, but you know, when you're trying to think, do you ever get like into a creative block? So what do you do when you have like a block? Like, oh man, you know, can't think of nothing right now. Because I think sometimes people may put a lot of pressure on themselves not thinking of.
If like I get to like let's just say you write, let's just say you're at the 8th bar, right? And like you're like for some reason right then and there you can't, everything that comes to your mind you're filtering out like that ain't it.
Right.
Then to me that's letting me know that I need to go do something else. Like, I don't really feel like it's a block. It's just my whatever muse telling me, you're good for right now. Live life some more, come back, and you'll be fine, you know?
I agree with you 100%. I'm the same way. Like, I could be here sitting, and then I'll be like, let me go get something to drink. Walk to the fridge, line comes.
Yep.
You know, that relaxation of the mind, having less pressure. So with the writing as well, like your storytelling, you know, a lot of your narratives they sound like they either fit you, but you write narratives that could fit pretty much anybody. Like you'll tell, I feel like when I'm listening to your songs, it's somebody came to you and they need some advice. So what's that like when you're crafting these stories of optimism and showing people, like, you know, crafting these stories of the dualities of love and hate and war and peace? Like, you're able to craft it in a way that this is what's going on, but don't let that do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So what's this vibe of storytelling for you? Why is it so important?
I feel like, you know, I'm somebody, one of my goals as far as being an MC was to, I didn't want to, I mean, and like I said, this is just everybody is doing what they do. I don't want to like lie to anybody. I don't want to. I don't talk about anything I don't know about. I'm never going to portray myself in a way that is authentically not me. Even like my artistic me, it has to be authentic, right? So life, we all experience things, and like it's probably just exactly what you said. It's like I want people to, whatever they're going through, be it something good, be it something hard, be it something, challenging, be it anything, like
Right.
I want you to know, like, other people are dealing with this. You can get through this. You can survive whatever. It's just, you gotta like have the fortitude to keep moving forward. And like, and a lot of, be honest with you, growing up in, I was born in the 70s, but a lot of our growing up was in the 80s. Like a lot of the like 80s movies was mad, like you can do anything, the underdog can win. Like, it was like that when we was growing up. So a lot of that inspired me. Like, look, like, little 12-year-old kids defeating like Dracula and stuff like that. That's what we grew up watching. You know what I'm saying? And the parents won't never help them or believe them.
Let me tell you, man. You got me thinking, because I watched this YouTube page called Toy Federation, and and it's in South Carolina, this store.
Oh,
they got every toy, man, and they're like all the old stuff we grew up on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then, watching all the toys, it brought back a lot of memories and themes. So it brought back the memory of, I'm watching what was it, Megatron? Megatron used to transform into a gun.
Right.
And then they stopped that. Like, so you get to see the evolution of toys even changing, but it made me think of those commercials and movies, like the Saturday morning cartoons having this moral, the morality.
Right.
A lot of morality in those mornings. So you made me think of, you're right. Like, it was a lot of inspiration. You could do it. Everything was exciting. Even the toy commercials was like,
right. Because it was like, and then at the end of a lot of the cartoons, they was like, they broke down the lesson, like that happened through the joint, just to make sure you understood, like, this is what we trying to tell you. Like, so now I just try to, like, and my mom had a lot of influence on that too, because it's like she would always be giving me advice, but she gave me advice in ways, because my mom's a writer and a poet too, but she's does it in a way a lot of times where if you're not paying attention, you won't realize that that's just how her mind works.
Yeah.
She'll like give me lessons, but it'll be like she doesn't say straightforward what she's saying. It's like you have to ingest and figure it out. Just like my first album was called Wood Nickels, and that's not something she invented. But she would always, when I left the house, be like, "Don't take wooden nickels," and I'd be like, "All right, word." Like, I'll just leave it. Yeah, and like, and she was just basically every day telling me, like, don't sell your soul. Pretty much is what she was always telling me every day, and so like just letting people know, and then also, okay, here's something you remember too: classic Ice Cube. So think about all the records, like, he was talking about like being at the free clinic, like use condoms, daggone. He was just teaching you. It was from a quote unquote street angle, but it was like all those songs was giving you lessons, like to learn. And then Public Enemy also. They was always giving you lessons, like, think about this, think about that. And I feel like, those are just two examples, but I feel like a lot of cats we were growing up listening to was doing that for us. And I feel like that's something that rap music, I don't know, a lot of people, I'm not saying everybody stopped, but as far as the stuff that is being propped up, a lot of that it got lost. Like they stopped trying to it seemed like trying to teach you anything. And it doesn't even matter if it's like what people want to call gangster rap or conscious rap or whatever. It's like you could go to all those different subgenres and they were actually trying to teach you something to try to like help you, but from their angle. And I wanted to continue that. Like, it wasn't even a conscious thing. It just, that was so much in me from listening to that it's part of my way of making music. Yeah.
So speaking of ways of making music, what's your studio setup? How do you make your music? What do you got? What are you rapping into? Microphones and things of that nature?
Yeah. It's pretty, it's not anything real like exciting like that. Like I got like a Shure KSM, stand up cardioid joint.
Yeah, I got a KSM 27.
Okay, word. Yeah, like that joint, is the gray joint. So with the little, just the windscreen in the front. And then I go
right here.
Oh, word. Yep. And I go straight into the daggone, interface into the computer. And then my board is pretty much Cool Edit, and that don't even exist no more. But like I've had that program.
What is it? What's the board?
Cool Edit. So that was the precursor to Adobe Audition.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and it's like the original Cool Edit we had, like you couldn't even save on it. Like you had to like do a whole song right then and there, and you had to bump it down to something before you turned your computer off, or it was done. Like that was the early days. Yeah.
That's great. That's
man, and I'm telling you, when we actually got the ability to save a song, oh wow. You can tell us nothing at that point.
So
yeah.
What else you use? You got some other things that you want to get people?
Oh yeah, like a little board as far as for my inputs, like a little Samson. What is that? Samson 624, small simple mixer just for the inputs, like the mic and the different ins and outs going there. But like I pretty much in Cool Edit, I do all my mixing and panning, everything in effects, like just in that program. Yeah, like outside of that, like those are the basic joints. Okay. It's real simple, man. Yeah.
So what are your, 3 artists, you recommend us to listen to, man? Like, cause today is so many, I mean, like what came out last week? A couple albums came out last week, and people I'm like, I haven't even heard that yet.
Right.
So much coming out, but it's a lot of good too, though. It's a lot of unknowns that I get put on to, and all of that, and then it's people that we know that are dropping good music. So is there like some artists you'd be like, check this out, check that out?
Yeah, man, that's hard. Yeah, because cats they just run through the attention of what to listen to so quick. Yeah, I feel like, I mean, it'd be a cliche, but like I really love the Common and Pete Rock joint.
Okay.
I mean, but that's right now what people are talking on the internet. But that doesn't mean it's not dope, because it is. Because like for me, I want people who are classic Pete Rock fans and who's been with him, for all this time. I think the fact that, like, let's just say if you didn't know some of the beats, but in my opinion, a lot of those beats on the album, if nobody told you, I feel like you wouldn't even know Pete Rock made that.
Yeah.
Because that's what was shocking to me. Like, I was like, this is dope. But it's like, I felt like it's either type of beats he was making all along, but maybe nobody was picking those particular styles. They wanted the Pete Rock beat, it's Pete Rock, or he kind of went into a different bag on this album. I feel like for that reason alone, people should listen to that album. I feel like, I feel like people could go back and shoot, man, listen to Radiohead, OK Computer. Listen to that joint. Because like to me still that album is something that like as far as the possibilities sonically and writing is very interesting to me. And like another thing about Radiohead, like Tom York's range, but then also when you listen to the lyrics, like the lyrics don't rhyme. Like none of their lyrics rhyme. And the fact of, you know, us being MCs pulling off song after song and song and make it feel like a song, but it doesn't rhyme at all. That's very impressive to me.
Right.
And then I still feel like cats need to go and listen to D'Angelo's Voodoo album. Like that album for me still is like you will learn so much about just song making and what's possible and just the beauty of just what you can do, you know. That those 3 albums just came right to my mind. Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, Cesar, man, let's give everybody your social media stuff, how to book you, how to find you, especially mention where do they get these hats from, where do they get from and all of that. Give us all that information.
Yeah, man. So pretty much just hit me up at IG. It's just Cesar Comanche. It's spelled just like how you're seeing right there. Just so Instagram, on Twitter, on what is that called? TikTok. Just hit me up. It's really me. Hit me up. Ask, be about the hats. We're building, like, this brand is like going to be crazy. Like, as far as the quality.
Is a website for the clothing, or is it just hit you up?
Oh, for right now, we're building all that right now because we done a soft open where we're kind of like slowly selling some joints now, but definitely hit me directly on any of the social media, and we'll get you right. But we're gonna have that website, everything ready, and all that type of different stuff.
Yeah. What about music? What you got coming up with
music? Coming up, I'm supposed to be working on an EP for this because I'm actually doing business with a high fashion house in Europe, and that like pretty much it's like cypher vibe shades that they have and clothing and apparel like that. So they want me. We're working on me being a spokesman for that brand also.
Nice.
And Ava Minga owns, she's Polish. She owns that whole brand and things like that whole fashion house. So that type of thing. I'm supposed to be working on an EP for that coming down the road. There's some more songs coming out that I've done features for here because a few's already come out this year, but more are coming out. And I'm gonna be taking my time brainstorming on another full-length record. And I Promise Not to Sting was my last full-length record. And actually, Wordsworth is the cat that dropped the original idea of me doing a whole album with another MC, like as a group. And I don't know, do you remember talk to me about that?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was you, man, because I was giving you a ride back to your spot because you performed at show. Yeah, and I dropped you off. You were saying like, man, you know what you should do? You should do like an album with another MC. And y'all just be like both of y'all just do the whole album. He said, because I think you were doing that with somebody. Yeah. You were saying like, man, it's real fun.
Yeah, I got one with Pearl Gates called Champion Sounds, and Quincy Thomas produced it. Yeah, it was real dope. It was real dope to do that.
Yeah, so and then like a few months later, then Pomac hit me up and was like, "Yo, you want to do an album?" I was like, "You know what? Yeah, let's do an album." Because it was like 2 different cats that I respect to ask me, telling me the same thing. I was like, I follow this. Yeah, I
got now, well, I've done EMC, then I've done Punch and Words, and then I've done, me and Pearl Gates. But I got a couple other albums coming out, same concept, because it's just like what's so dope now is back in the days we had to get a label to tell us who we could rap with. It was so much
Right.
red, yellow tape, red tape with it to red tape to get through to even rhyme together. And
Yeah.
right, like all the people that people know we know coming up, they know we're friends with. They don't probably understand why we're not having like tons of songs together, because before, if they were signed to a label,
Right.
they can just rhyme with their friends the way that they wanted to.
Yep, they wasn't trying to hear that. Exactly. Yeah.
Now we can rhyme together. So I just be like, yo, do an EP. Let's just do this. And we just knock it out just for the basis of, good music being out there that people can listen to, Cesar, man, thanks again for coming on the show, spending your time. I know your time is valuable. Make sure everybody go out there and support everything. And before I leave, I always like to ask people, what are your words worth? Peace.
Peace.
Sign up now at elevate.miami.edu for my course, Organized Rhyme. Looking at the word legacy, while involving some wordplay, I'll use the first syllable to build upon. We'll use the first syllable, leg. For the second syllable, we'll use an. And for the third syllable, we'll use the word knee. So now we have leg and knee. Can we use it in context with legacy? Let's just see. Wordsworth Productions with a S.com for all merch. I got 2 books available right now. Words Are Worth Volume 1, and I also have a children's book called Socks. Age range from 12 to 15, so it's kind of like the middle school and high school age range, but adults can read it as well. Shout out to our sponsor, the Wizker. If you're into skincare, the Wizker will help prevent razor bumps and make sure you got smooth skin all around. Make sure you order it on Amazon, the Wizker. Make sure you check out Wordsworthproductions.com. There you can book me if you want to book me for shows, consultations, panels, and things of that nature. And also, it'll give all the upcoming shows that I'll be attending or performing at or appearing at as well. Wordsworthproductions.com. We write plays, books, movies, anything that deals with writing and creativity. Contact us.